Hi everyone, my name is Tracy and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the video. I hope you enjoy it. So today's video is going to be very laid back, very informal. I do technically have a script that I wrote right here in front of me that I'll most likely be reading from, but today's video is a very, spur of the moment, impromptu type of video. I honestly wasn't planning on filming a video for this week because I've been really tired. I've been so exhausted lately and I just didn't have the energy to film anything. And also I just didn't really have the inspiration. I didn't really have anything to talk about or any topics that I really wanted to talk about. But then I got to thinking that I have been uploading a new video every single week since I first started this channel last month, back in March. And I just didn't want to break my streak. And I also really do love this channel. It's definitely a huge passion project of mine. I love filming and editing and just all around creating content to upload here, and I didn't want to give up on that. I didn't want to skip a week and lose out on my streak. So that's kind of the reasoning for me sitting down and filming right now. But also, anyways, today I wanted to talk about a very human experience, and I'm hoping that it's going to be very relatable to people out there that are watching this video. I hope that you can really resonate with the things that I talk about in this video. But today's topic is going to be about jealousy and envy and comparison. I feel like we've all heard the saying, comparison is the thief of joy. And I do stand by that quote. It's very true, and it's honestly probably one of my favorite quotes of all time because of how true it is. But comparison is such a normal human experience that even though we know we shouldn't be comparing ourselves, we do it anyways because we're only human and it's such a natural instinct. But anyways, so I just wanted to provide some background context. But so yesterday after work, I was hanging out with some friends. It was my best friend and it was his friend that I had never met before. So it was my first time meeting him. Very sweet. I love them both. They are such just amazing people and they're so fun. And it was honestly such a great night of just hanging out with them. I usually don't hang out with people on weeknights because yesterday was Monday, so it was a work night for me, or a work day weeknight for me. But I don't know, I just didn't really have much going on, so I said yes, and I really just wanted to hang out with some people, and I had a great time. But yesterday we were kind of chit-chatting and I had an unpleasant feeling arose for me, and that was insecurity and jealousy. I feel like I have been working on myself. I've been working on my mental health and healing for so long, and I'm at a point where I am very happy about myself and I stand firm in who I am as a person. I'm not the most confident person out there, but I'm definitely not self-loathing at all, or I don't have any self-pity. I do have insecurities here and there like everyone else does, but I also do like myself. I do love myself. And I honestly wouldn't change who I am. But I guess the conversation that I had with my friends yesterday when we were hanging out definitely triggered some insecurities for me and triggered me comparing myself. And I feel like this is such a prevalent experience, specifically mostly for women, because my friends yesterday were men. So I feel like to them it might not be as triggering or prevalent, but I feel like for women, or for people who identify as female, I feel like it does bring up emotions, unpleasant emotions that we really don't like. But anyways, so I'm just gonna be reading from my script. So yesterday, I was hanging out with some friends. It was a casual conversation, light, playful, full of admiration for others. But somewhere in that admiration, I felt myself sinking. They kept talking about other women, how beautiful they were, how talented, how successful, and I just sat there quietly smiling, quietly spiraling. One of these women that they had mentioned was a dancer. She was someone who grew up in our hometown area, and she is someone who really made it. She's famous, she's accomplished, and she was praised. And I couldn't help but think that could never be me. So just to provide some extra context, we were talking about a person who grew up in our hometown area who ended up becoming a professional dancer, and she's super famous. She's worked with Lady Gaga. She was actually in a Tate McRae music video. She was on SNL. She was in like a Prada commercial with like Gigi Hadid. Like, she is very, very successful and very famous. And it was funny because me and her actually went to the same dance school, and she just ended up going pro right after high school, and which is so amazing. I mean, I'm very happy for her, and yeah, that's awesome. But anyways, my friends and I, we were praising her, and even though I do agree with everything that they were saying, like, they were saying that she's so beautiful, she's so hot, and she's so talented, she's a phenomenal dancer, and I do agree. I have seen her dance, and she's amazing. For those of you who don't know, she was actually in the new Tate McRae Revolving Door music video, and I think she was also in another very recent Lady Gaga music video, and she was also Lady Gaga's background dancer and everything on SNL, I think. But yeah, she's very, very accomplished and obviously very attractive. But anyways, even though I agreed with what my friends were saying, we were all praising her, we were all admiring her, I couldn't help but feel, a bit triggered. I was definitely feeling some insecurities rising for me, but I'm gonna go into that right now. But the reason why I felt a bit insecure in this conversation is because dancing is my passion, but unfortunately, I'm not good at it. And to be honest, I'm not that beautiful, and I'm not nearly as accomplished as this other woman is. So I was just sitting there in the middle of the conversation, and I didn't feel threatened or anything, but I felt kind of invisible, like I wasn't even worth comparing myself to her. Like, she's like this unworldly figure, and I don't know. I feel like I love dancing so much, and it's such a huge hobby of mine. I'm so passionate about it, but unfortunately, I'm just not really that good. I did grow up dancing, but I gave up on it when I was too young, and I just never kept up with it. And now as an adult, getting back into it as a beginner again is pretty difficult. I'm a very awkward, lanky person, so I feel like, I don't know, it's hard for me to be a good dancer because of how awkward I am at moving my body. I'm not bad, but I'm definitely not that great. But that's okay. I feel like, it's okay to admit that you're not good at something, even if you are passionate about it. I mean, I'm just a beginner. I've just been taking adult ballet classes in about a year now, and I just started taking adult hip hop like this month. And I just, recently started taking ballroom dancing classes towards like the end of last year as well. So, I'm still a beginner with everything, and I think that's okay to acknowledge that you're just starting out and you're not that good, and that's okay. It doesn't matter as long as you have fun. But moving on to my next point, and this was something that I had mentioned earlier, I think most of us, especially women, have felt this at some point. That ache when someone else is being praised and you can't help but feel smaller in the background. You want to be happy for them, and a part of you is, but another part, that part whispers you're not good enough. For me, that whisper started young. Growing up in an Asian household, I was often compared to my siblings, to family friends' daughters, to anyone who fit the mold of being prettier, smarter, or more talented. I was never quite good enough. I wasn't graceful enough, not intelligent enough, not exceptional enough to be one of the people that were talked about with pride. So when people talk about other women with that same glowing admiration, it brings all of that back. It's not just jealousy, it's grief. Grief for the version of myself I thought I had to be in order to feel worthy. So for those of you who don't know, I am Vietnamese. Obviously growing up in a Vietnamese household was not easy. I love my family, I love my parents, but I feel like if you're Asian, you can definitely relate to the aspect of maybe you were constantly compared to your siblings or compared to other, people's children. Like I was always compared to my parents' friends' daughters as well, and I just never really felt enough. I never felt worthy enough or good enough. And my parents didn't have any malice intention towards me. They didn't think of trying to make me feel bad about myself. It's just part of the culture, I guess, to always be comparing your kids to your friends' kids or comparing siblings to each other. And whether it's, comparing success or looks and beauty or talents or intelligence or grades in school or extracurricular activities, whatever. I feel like comparison is definitely so ingrained in an Asian household growing up, and it's just part of the Asian culture for some reason, especially in Vietnamese culture. So I feel like this was kind of where it all started in terms of my insecurities and my lack of self-confidence growing up. But anyways, I feel like I didn't really truly grow into myself until college, and even in college I still felt insecure, but I was kind of living out the fake it till you make it mentality. So I just kind of pushed my insecurities down and hid them and just faked being confident in myself, and it worked. I did feel pretty confident in myself throughout college. But growing up, I was always the ugly duckling in my family. People always preferred my brothers over me, or, I was just always compared to other girls and stuff. And, it just really, it didn't help at all with my self-love and my growth. But it is what it is. You live and you learn, and I'm kind of glad that I grew up in that environment because it did help me, grow up with thick skin, or thicker skin as you might call it, where I feel like now that I'm healing my insecurities and my mental health and my self-love and my confidence, I'm at a point where I truly don't care what people think about me anymore. I don't care what people say about me. I am just, I don't know, I'm in a new era. I'm just trying to cultivate peace in my life now at this stage, so I truly don't care what anyone thinks of me or has to say. But anyways, this is definitely sort of leading into my next topic, and I want to say this clearly and gently. It's okay to feel insecure. It doesn't make you petty or bitter or unkind. It makes you human. Because we all want to be seen. We all want to feel like we're enough, especially in the presence of beauty, talent, and success. But the difference is in what we do with those feelings. We can feel the insecurity without letting it consume us. We can acknowledge envy without letting it turn into resentment. That's emotional maturity. That's self-awareness. And that's compassion, not only for others, but most importantly, for ourselves. There is also something sacred in letting others shine, in not needing to be the one in the spotlight, in learning that another woman's beauty or brilliance or success doesn't erase your own worth. It's okay to sit in the background and clap for someone else. It's okay to not be the most praised, the most celebrated, or the most impressive in the room. Sometimes that's how you can protect your peace, by not chasing the spotlight, by not needing to prove anything, by knowing that your worth isn't contingent on being recognized. So this is sort of going into what I was talking about earlier, but as of now, I'm learning to choose peace over performance. I'm learning to stay grounded in who I am, even when who I am feels quiet, ordinary, or unseen. And I'm learning to be proud of others without abandoning myself in the process, because I can hold space for someone else's glow without dimming my own. And maybe that's the real growth, not needing to shine all the time, but knowing you're still whole even in the shadows. So if you've ever felt like you weren't enough in a room full of praise, I want you to know, you don't need to perform to be worthy. You don't need to be the loudest or the brightest to be loved. You're allowed to feel the ache. You're allowed to let others shine. And you're allowed to protect your energy, even if that means stepping back. Because your peace matters, your heart matters, and so do you. Not everyone needs the spotlight. Some of us were made for soft presence, quiet power, and lasting peace. So that was kind of my little love letter or script that I wrote for this video, in terms of, saying it's okay to acknowledge that you're insecure, whether it's in the presence of other people who you've deemed in your head are better than you or more attractive than you, or they're more celebrated and more praised and more successful, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's okay to feel those insecurities and to feel jealous and envious, but we shouldn't let it consume us, and we should learn from these experiences and be more self-aware, and we should love ourselves through these feelings that arise. We should offer compassion not only for others, but for ourselves as well. You're not a bad person for feeling jealous or insecure at someone else who is in the spotlight or who's shining right now. Like for me yesterday, when I was hanging out with my friends and they kept complimenting other women in front of me, whether it was that girl I was talking about in the beginning of the video, who was a very successful, famous dancer who's also very beautiful, or they were also talking about other women who are also very attractive and beautiful, And although I did feel unpleasant emotions arise, I didn't let it consume me, and I acknowledged these emotions, and instead of letting it consume me or live rent-free in my brain, I decided to make this video essay acknowledging that experience. And hopefully this video can help others who are kind of going through the same experiences themselves, or maybe feel the same emotions arise, people who are still going through their self-love journeys like I am, who are still healing their insecurities and traumas and triggers. I hope that this video truly resonates with you, and I hope that you feel seen and heard and understood. I feel like that's sort of the whole goal of my YouTube channel, is to make people feel understood and feel like they're not alone. And yeah, before I ramble on too much longer, I just kind of wanted to end it with a final note of, it's okay to feel jealousy and envy for others, but you have to acknowledge that just because someone else is being praised a lot or celebrated, that doesn't diminish any of your own unique qualities or diminish your own beauty or success or worth. Actually, I wanted to talk about this before ending the video. I recently watched the movie Pride and Prejudice, and that movie was also kind of the source of inspiration for this video, as well as the experience that I had yesterday with my friends. But throughout that movie, I feel like Elizabeth, the main character, her sister was constantly being praised, whether in front of her or just in general. Like, her sister was always the first choice for like any guy, at like a ball or just like in general. Like, everyone always praised her for like her beauty and her classiness, her polished nature. But Elizabeth never ever cared. She loved her sister, and she gladly took a back seat and let her sister shine. And she was her sister's biggest supporter. But Elizabeth, who was played by Keira Knightley, drop dead gorgeous in of herself. She is such a beautiful human being. And even though she wasn't really praised that much for her beauty or for her intelligence or for anything, she never cared. She just kept continuing on. And I found that to be so admirable in of itself. Obviously her sister was very beautiful as well. And, she was very sophisticated, very classy. I feel like Elizabeth's character in the movie resonated with me a lot because, she was always kind of like in her sister's shadows, but she never cared, and she never really let that eat away at her. And I think we can all really learn from that movie, because not only is Elizabeth very beautiful as well, she gladly took a step back and just let her sister be in the spotlight her whole life. But in the end, she still got her Mr. Darcy. She still fell in love and had a happy ending. And I'm not saying that as women we need happy endings or to fall in love to feel beautiful or anything, but I just wanted to bring up the point that this whole video topic can also be seen in the movie Pride and Prejudice. And I think that movie does a really great job at depicting sort of this topic that I currently am discussing with you. But anyways, I love Pride and Prejudice. It's such a good movie. But I also love Keira Knightley. She's such an amazing actress, and she's so beautiful. But I really did love Elizabeth as a character. I think she was very relatable. She was so outspoken, and she wasn't ever sorry for who she is. She's super confident, and she knows her worth, even though she was never praised or celebrated as much as her sister, who was constantly praised and celebrated for her beauty. Which, I mean, Elizabeth was also beautiful anyways, so it didn't really matter, but you kind of get the gist of what I'm talking about. You don't have to be the most outspoken or extroverted person in the room, obviously. I'm very much an introvert. I'm such a hermit. But I think, you know, having a quiet confidence to yourself really speaks volumes. And I think it, you know, it cultivates not only more peace for you, but it also can make you more attractive to other people too, even if you don't even realize it. Like, even though Elizabeth in Pride and Prejudice wasn't, you know, always praised for her beauty, she still, you know, caught the eye of Mr. Darcy, and he fell in love with her, not the sister. I mean, obviously her sister had someone else who was in love with her and was obsessed with her, but anyways, what I'm saying is this kind of aligns with a previous video that I made on my channel. I think it's called Protect Your Peace, Not Your Image, something along those lines. I can't remember, but you'll see it on my channel. But basically what I'm saying aligns with that topic as well, where you don't have to be the most attractive person in the room or the most beautiful or the most accomplished or the most successful to be confident in who you are. You should just be able to love yourself fully as who you are. But there's also, you know, a lot of peace in knowing that you don't need attention and you don't need constant praise or to be celebrated or to be in the limelight or the spotlight. You can just exist in the background, but still be happy with who you are and be at peace with who you are. And you never know who that might attract, you know? You could attract your own Mr. Darcy and not even know it. I mean, obviously, if you don't want to attract anyone, that's fine as well, but I was kind of just making a joke. But yeah, anyways, this video has dragged on long enough, but I'm gonna end it here before I ramble on too much longer. But I really do hope that you enjoyed watching, and I'm sorry for the weird lighting. The sun is like coming in through my window right now, but anyways, thank you so much again for watching, and I truly do hope that you enjoy it. So, bye!